Here's Johnny.
Now, I'll be honest, was that applause for me, or are you glad the bicentennial is over? You can look at Cronkite for about 8 hours, and that's it. How are you tonight? Incidentally, you're in luck tonight. The air conditioning is working, and my monologue just went out. You know who's got a birthday today? Doc Severinsen. It's Doc's birthday. You want it? You're not going to tell me how old you are. I really don't know. The slightest idea.
What's the difference? It's like, now you have slightly graying hair, but no, but that doesn't mean anything.
What's it for trumpet play? Your lips turn gray and then...
No, it was a strange color of raspberry, and they were lying on the floor beside the bed this morning.
I'm the foggy side. I don't even want to talk to you. I'm going to talk to Tommy over here. Incidentally, this is The Tonight Show, coming to you from it says Hollywood, right? Now, people who are here know we don't come from Hollywood. We come from Burbank, where space scientists are busy looking for signs of life. How are you, Tom?
Very well.
Tommy is pretty choked up. He had a big day today. The man on the Eskimo pie truck let Tommy ring his bell. Well, let's see. I have a late report from the newsroom to pass on to you in case you missed the early news tonight. MGM just announced that they have purchased the rights, motion picture rights, to the life story of Elizabeth Ray. They're calling it That's Entertainment Part 3. Well, let's go and see what's happening back in Washington. President Ford today just exercised another veto. That's the 52nd veto he has used since he has been president. And what he did, Congress had passed a $3.9 billion employment program, and President Ford vetoed that, 51. And it's a public works bill that apparently will give hundreds of thousands of people jobs. And I think the reason the president vetoed it, he said, he figures, why should he be the only one out of work in November? And you know who's visiting our country? I just returned from England. Queen Elizabeth and her husband, Philip, are here in our country today. And I understand the Queen was very gracious in celebrating America's bicentennial. She said there were no hard feelings at all, that the 13 colonies had succeeded from Britain. She did have a note from the Queen Mother, though. Said, "You rotten kids never write." Queen Mother is Jewish. Most people don't know that. But President Ford, I understand, gave her quite a reception. He rolled out the red carpet. He had a Marine Corps honor guard. He showered her with lavish gifts, gave her a wonderful banquet. And actually, that's not too impressive when you consider the fact that he did exactly the same thing the day before for an uncommitted delegate. That's what he did, all right. Then the Queen changed the subject, you see. She visited Philadelphia. Now, there wasn't much to do in Philadelphia after the royal couple saw the Liberty Bell, so she visited Bobby Rydell's birthplace. And there's a rumor that she may co-host the Mike Douglas show while she's in Philly. It's just wasn't the funniest rumor of the day, but it was things are tough in England, they're really monetarily. They say the real reason that the Queen is here is to raise some money by doing an Imperial margarine commercial. Let's see. Did you watch Ronald Reagan on television? That's interesting. Now, he bought a half hour of prime time on the ABC television network. Cost him something like $80,000. How many here, just to take a sample, saw that address on television? Boy, there's 80 big ones right down there. Nobody saw that? He spent $80,000 on ABC. Well, that's a typical ABC audience. No, I know one lady did see the broadcast. You know what her comment was? She says, I think Laverne had her hair done. Weird. Reagan's very effective on television, as usual. He did a great job. He didn't get any delegates, but he sold 20 million boxes of borax. Well, you'd have had to see the show to know that. You know, it's a very close race. According to the polls today, did Reagan have a couple of more delegates? Yeah, at the convention, which is coming up, and it's going to be a very close race to see who gets the nomination. And it's tough to decide for Republicans because both the president and Ronald Reagan have kind of the same conservative philosophy, so it's going to be a tough choice at the Republican National Convention. They're going to have to make a choice between the Gipper or the Tripper. And Jimmy Carter, as if you didn't know, is in the process of interviewing potential vice presidential running mates, and he's asking them a lot of questions. Who was down there the other day? Well, everybody's going down there. Muskie, yeah. Maybe he'll go with Muskie this time because of what Muskie did for Humphrey in '68. He helped Hubert a lot. But Jimmy is he's interrogating them, trying to find out some of their views. He's asking them such questions as, where can I get dental floss wholesale? Little questions. One of the other questions that leaked out was, for a 5-minute period, can you be vague on foreign policy? That was one of the questions. The other one was, have you ever double dated with Wayne Hayes? Those are good questions. We have a fascinating show tonight. A gentleman I have just met before the show, Mr. Charlie Finley, who is the owner of the Oakland A's, is here. He is a rather controversial man, and just before the show tonight, Mr. Finley completed a deal. Sold 3 members of our trombone section to the Boston Pops in exchange for 2 oboe players and a designated bassoonist. You guys know who you are, so if you want to pack your gear, get on the bus. Along with Mr. Finley, we have Mr. George Peppard tonight. We have Charlie, I mentioned Charlie Finley, Charlie Callis, and Dr. Jeffrey Byrne has a fascinating book on called The Gentle Giants, which is all about gorillas. And you'll learn more about gorillas tonight than you probably have ever learned before. We want you to go away happy, having a lot of knowledge. Thank you for coming. We'll be with you in just a couple of minutes. When you do that, people think you don't like me. You come in and and then you run off. You come in with a product and just, stand here and look like we're friends. People on the show should be close. We're like a family.
Well, you got a buck.
We don't want to be that much of a family, Tom. There's only one place you find the Wishbone name, on fine salad dressings. Watch. Here we are.
You seem to have recovered from your jet lag.
Yeah, I'm a little more on top of things. I'm still a little bit funky. What'd you do to celebrate your birthday? Anything today at all?
I went over to Santa Monica. Good. I just drove over.
Another big day, huh?
Yeah.
I saw the girls had a cake for you in the makeup room and everything.
Yeah. The lovely ladies in the makeup room.
Fix up your face. Here's a copy of the National Enquirer, which is not exactly in the league with the New York Times, but They come up with some kooky things once in a while. They went to 5 psychics to make some predictions for the second half of 1976. I don't know who the psychics are, but they have the names here. Five of them predicted that Jimmy Carter, not President Ford, will win the election. The most mind-boggling event of the year, however, will be a message, this is what one of the psychics says, to Earth from an outer space civilization, predicts British psychic Marjorie Staves. The aliens will warn us against sending certain types of vehicles into certain areas of space, she said. They'll do this to protect themselves. They've been predicting that one for 20 years, right, that the aliens are coming. Muhammad Ali will retire from boxing and become a religious leader. Florence Vati, the Los Angeles psychic, she predicts it'll be disclosed that the CIA's agents have learned how to make objects vanish and later reappear. Does that boggle your mind? I'm in here again. They've been predicting this for the last 5 years, yes. Johnny Carson will quit his Tonight Show following a bitter dispute with NBC. Not true. That's not. No, it's not. Telly Savalas will walk out on Kojak. That's one of the predictions. Famous psychic Paige Bryant. You ever heard of the famous psychic Paige Bryant? Well, he predicts that sea explorer Jacques Cousteau will discover the legendary lost city of Atlantis. I hope he does, because he's running out of creatures to talk to. I mean, he's down to clams now, have you seen? Well, it used to be porpoises and whales and octopus, but it's not glamorous anymore. And you see, the little clam is moving along, and, he is going to his home. Henry Kissinger will be forced to resign over secret deals and later will fall in love with a Hollywood starlet. That's a prediction. Psychiatrists will find a new drug that vastly improves memory, a mushroom extract from a rare South American fungus. Band has been using that rare fungus for years. Here's an interesting one. Sonny Bono will open a chain of Sonny's Pizza Parlors and make a fortune. Good for Sonny. Lucille Ball will become a U.S. ambassador to an Asian nation. Well, that's weird. Former Vice President Spiro Agnew will star in the movie version of his recently published novel. Can't wait for that. I read all of those predictions. We have a psychic that works here at NBC. I don't know whether you know him or not.
Does he have a name?
No, he's anonymous. He doesn't even wish to be known, but he shoved these under my door today. He made some predictions that are not in here. He says the bionic woman will become pregnant and give birth to a toaster. That's our own prediction. Our psychic, Sam Psychic actually is his name. Gerald Ford will be elected president, but will never return to Washington due to his inability to find the off-ramp. Within 5 years, there will be coin-operated funeral homes. I tell you, he's weird, folks. He says chairs will become obsolete. People will sit on small piles of tuna. Jacqueline Onassis will announce her engagement to the late J. Paul Getty. Mary Hartman will be arrested by the FBI agents for transporting her nose across state lines. The Pope will wear a leisure suit next Easter. 2 creatures from another planet will land in Oakland, California, and Charles Finley will sell them to the Boston Red Sox. Jimmy Carter will be elected president, and Bert Parks will be appointed Secretary of Teeth. Hugh O'Brien will be bitten by the acting bug, and the bug will die. In the near future, there will be smoking and non-smoking sections at cemeteries. Masters and Johnson will publish a new book advancing the controversial theory that sex is less satisfying when one or both of the participants fail to show up. Elliot Gould's tuxedo will come down with ring around the cummerbund. Alice Cooper will announce his intention to take his own hand in marriage. Alice says he's tired of living together. Elizabeth Ray will do a television special about Washington in which she will describe 26 congressional office ceilings. Those are some of the predictions. Sam Psychic. Sam the Psychic. That's right. Sam Psychic, right, has an office down here, an unlisted office. We have it, Mr. whom we've had fun with the last few weeks on the monologue, and I said one night, why don't we invite Charles Finley on the show? He's an unusual gentleman, and I think you'll find it fascinating. He is with us along with George Peppard, Dr. Jeffrey Bourne. What?
Born.
Bourne? Oh, excuse me, I called him Bourne. Dr. Bourne, like in Born Yesterday. Dr. Yesterday is with us. He has a book about gorillas. You know anything about gorillas?
A little bit.
Well, that's all you need to know.
I mean, it could be dangerous getting to know too much, you know.
Well, he will know. You see, gorillas have been getting a lot of bad press. They're really gentle.
What they need to do is get a new press agent.
No, they're gentle. They're gentle people. Not people. They're gentle animals. Why do I talk to you? And Charlie Callis here, who is warped completely. And we'll do this, and then Mr. Finley will join us. And we'll be right back. This guest tonight is Charles Finley, and he has for a few years been thought of as one of the more controversial owners of team owners in pro baseball. The recent controversy came up because he sold 3 ball players from Oakland to other teams for a cash value of $3.5 million. And Bowie Kuhn, the baseball commissioner, stepped in and vetoed that sale. And then Charlie Finley, I understand, filed a $10 million lawsuit against the baseball league. It's quite a mess. At any rate, he's a very colorful man, and he's guided the Oakland Athletics to 5 consecutive division championships and 3 consecutive world championships. Would you welcome, please, Charlie O. Finley. It's good to have you here, Mr. Finley.
Thanks, John. It's a real pleasure and honor to be with you.
Thank you. I have read more about you in the past few months than I have practically of any of the presidential candidates and politicians. How does it feel to get so much? Well, you've always had press, either pro or con during your years. You handle that well? I mean, can you live with the criticism when the people get on you?
Oh, Johnny, sometimes it gets a little rough.
Yeah.
But, you've got to grin and bear it.
Yeah.
In the end, things seem to work out pretty good.
Yeah. Let's talk about, you've been fairly innovative in baseball before we get into the controversy about what's really going on. And you came up with the designated hitter concept?
Designated hitter,
Right.
which I think has added a lot of action and at the same time interest to the game of baseball.
You think baseball kind of fell into traditions and people are reluctant sometimes to change anything in sports? They want it the way it always was, and they kind of hold to those concepts?
Well, I'm sorry to say, Johnny, especially in baseball, that seems to be the problem that we've had.
Right.
But baseball is still a great game, and all we've got to do is make a few changes in it, and I think it'll be back as the #1 sport of the nation.
Right.
You were mentioning an innovation. One of the things that I'm really proud about is that we started the World Series games on Saturday. Game 1 and 2, Saturday and Sunday, and then we play 3 games at night during the week.
Right.
And this way it enables everyone, especially today's children, who incidentally are tomorrow's baseball fans, where they'll be able to see the games, all the World Series games.
This was your idea, because originally they started like in the middle of the week sometime, did they not?
That's exactly right. Yes, I worked on this for about 10 years before I was able to get it to pass through baseball.
Now, why would they fight you on that? That seems like a logical, constructive move. Why would they say we don't want to do that?
John, to me, that's very easy for me to answer in one word, stupidity.
He said, choosing his words carefully. In other words, you think they just get locked into old-fashioned ideas and don't want to make a change just for the sake of saying, this is the way it was and this is the way it's going to be?
Unfortunately, Johnny, that's been the trend. And I'm most hopeful that they'll wake up and start making some changes that is going to be good for baseball.
Now, we just said hello briefly before the show, and you showed me something that I know you're trying to get into baseball. And when you see this, the baseball purists will probably go, my God, what is it? Now, if you have a color television set, this is a bright orange baseball. And, of course, in baseball, the baseballs have been white ever since baseball came into being, and you would like to change that.
I sure would.
Why? And what?
Well,
what are
Johnny,
the benefits?
with an alert orange baseball, number one, you got to think about the fans. This
Right.
will enable the fans to follow the flight of the ball much easier than a white ball.
Right.
And number two, the hitters, they can see that ball coming out of that pitcher's white uniform an awful lot easier.
Right.
And it's going to enable the hitters to improve on their batting averages. It's going to put more action into the games, and the fans are going to like it very much. But the pitchers, they despise the ball.
Why don't they like it?
Well, because you just take this ball here, and may I,
Sure.
I toss it out in the audience, and look at there, somebody catch that. Look at that, he caught it without dropping it.
Because it's, in other words, optically, it's easier to see.
Yes, it is.
I think you get the feeling, or I'm sure it's one of your comments about baseball, is you figure that it's kind of stacked against the batter.
Yes, yes, it is, John. You take football, you go to a football game, you see 11 players against 11.
Right.
You go to a basketball game, there's 5 against 5. Hockey game, 6 against 6.
Right.
You go to a baseball game, there's 9 against 1. There's 9 players out there on that field, and there's one fella comes up to the plate with a little stick in his hand, and the 9 guys gang up on him. You know?
Isn't that the idea of the game? I mean, never looked at it that way. So this, you think by the introduction of this ball, that'll kind of equalize it a little bit?
Well, what I'd like to see baseball do is to balance the defense with the offense.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one way that,
see that.
that's one way that would help balance the offense with the defense. Another thing,
I remember when tennis went from the white tennis ball to the yellow tennis ball, and now the yellow tennis ball is almost universally used because optically it is easier to see than a white tennis ball.
that's very true. And another thing, John, that I'd like to see baseball adopt is ball 3 and strike 3. And do away with the ball 4. And briefly, I'd just like to tell you this, that when professional baseball first started, it started out with 9 balls and 5 strikes.
Are you serious?
I'm
Now, that I
serious.
didn't know.
Yeah, that was in 1878. And
Well, the
10
pitcher
years,
must have been out there all day.
Well, they were. And as a matter of fact, in 1886, by 1886, they had gradually reduced it down to 4 balls and 3 strikes. Now, that's 90 years ago. There's nothing been done at all on balls and strikes in those 90 years.
So you'd
And
like to see 3 balls?
I'd like to see 3 balls and 3 strikes. This will speed the game up, and it will force the pitcher to come in throwing strikes instead of wasting pitches once he gets a hitter in the hole.
What do you think about passing somebody or walking somebody with a 4, where the catcher moves out and they just throw 4 balls to put him on first?
I think that's the stupidest thing that baseball does is, throw the ball.
You're going to put him on. Do they keep that in because they think that possibly the batter might jump out and slug it?
That's what they think.
But it's never done, is it?
Well, maybe once in 100,000 times. I think that if you're going to walk a player, just put a signal up and send that fellow right down to first base.
Let me take a break here and we'll come back and follow up on this. Stay right where you are. And we're here with us tonight, Mr. Charles Finley, the owner of the Oakland A's. We have George Peppard, Charlie Callis, and Dr. Jeffrey Bourne. Charles, let's get into this controversy a little bit, what's going on in baseball. Now, you have 3 ball players, Vida Blue, Joe Rudy, and Raleigh Fingers, which you sold. And as I understand, they are working out their option on the team. This is their last year, right?
Supposedly,
Supposedly.
Yes.
And
As a matter of fact, they haven't signed.
Right. And under the rules of that, if a ball player exercises and finishes out, then he becomes a free agent and is able to sell his services to the highest bidder.
Right.
Now, what you did is that you sold them to the New York Yankees, or to different teams, right? These 3 players for a total of
For a total of $3.5 million.
$3.5 million. Now, Bowie Kuhn, the commissioner of baseball, he called you into his office, and I understand you had a meeting, and he says he was going to veto that in the best interest of baseball to protect the honor of the game, right?
That's
So
what
I
he
may
told
be
me.
paraphrasing his words,
No,
but
no, that's what he told me.
now why did he stop the sale?
Well, John, it's pretty hard for me to figure that out. As a matter of fact, I'm just anxiously awaiting the time when Bowie Kuhn will tell it to the judge when
I
he
see.
stopped it.
That's right. You did file a $10 million lawsuit. Now, you see, I think what concerns a lot of people, and some of this has been in the press, they said, well, it's not fair that professional team owners can buy and sell baseball players like cattle or chattel slaves or so forth, and that the players should be free to make their own deals and should not be held and, in other words, bartered like cattle. How do you feel about that?
Well, Johnny, you know, ever since the history of the game, players have been bought and sold. You go back to the days when Babe Ruth was sold from Boston to the Yankees. I recall Dizzy Dean when he was sold to the Cubs for $185,000. 1934, Joe Cronin was sold to the Boston Red Sox from Washington, and at that time he was sold for $250,000. That much, $250,000 in 1934 is worth $1,040,000 today. And there's Ferguson Jenkins was sold for $200,000 recently in November of 1975. Commissioner said nothing about that deal. A little later on, Minnesota Twins sold Bert Blyleven to Texas for $250,000. And just last year, the San Francisco Giants sold Dave Kingman to the New York Mets, who incidentally, for $160,000, who incidentally is leading the major leagues with 26 home runs today. Did the commissioner say anything about that? Nothing at all. And let me take you one step further. In 1971, the Oakland A's, if you please, paid the then Washington Senators $300,000 for Darrell Knowles and Mike Epstein. Did the commissioner do anything about that? No. But when I sell 3 players myself, and for business reasons, plus the fact I was going to take that money and end up with a much stronger team by purchasing these some 52 ball players who are playing out their options right now. And I was going to have a stronger team in 1977 than I had starting in 1976. As it stands right now, I'm going to have nothing.
So these players are not playing for anyone right now, right?
Well, they're playing for the A's, but I don't think that it's my property. The commissioner forced me to use these players after I'd sold them.
So they are still playing for Oakland.
Yes, sir.
Now, what will happen at the end of the season? This is now up to the courts, is it?
Well, it's in the hands of the court, the federal court in Chicago, and we're very optimistic over our chances of winning this lawsuit. I might say that Bowie Kuhn has been the 5th commissioner in baseball, and never in the history of the game of baseball has a commissioner ever stepped in to stop a sale of a ball player. And why he stopped this one, as I say, let him tell it to the judge.
Yeah. Do you think it could be a personal vendetta?
Well, yes, I really do. I'm sorry to say, John.
Yeah.
And it's quite unfortunate. I was fined one time in the World Series in 1973 when we were playing the New York Mets. We took a player that the doctor said don't play him by the name of Mike Andrews.
I remember that.
And the only thing I did was give the letter to the commissioner of baseball where the doctor said don't play Mike Andrews. He's physically unable to play anymore in the series. If you use him, you'll hurt him. I handed him that letter, and would you believe it? He fined me $5,000 just because a doctor examined Mike Andrews and said that he was physically unable to play. And during that same World Series, I was fined another $2,000 because it got so dark out there. The umpire forgot to turn the lights on, and I sent word up to the electrician to turn the lights on, and when I did, the umpire jumped up like something had been shot, wanted the lights back off again. So I was fined $2,000 for that. But let me say this, at the end of the season, baseball changed their rules to where the lights can be turned on at any time, not at the end of an inning. So I got fined $2,000 for that. And in the same World Series, he fined me another $1,000 because we only used 24 players, and I wanted to make an announcement to the fans that we were playing with 24, and the Mets had 25. So I got fined $1,000 for making the announcement.
You better, Charles, you better win this lawsuit just to pay your fines. I mean, if this keeps up like this.
Well,
How do you answer? Yeah, go right ahead now.
I'd just like to add one other thing, too. You're talking about the commissioner having a personal vendetta. I don't like to sit here and make these accusations, but you asked me a question, Johnny, and I'm a little forthright, you know. At one time, Reggie Jackson several years back in his career when he was having trouble with his timing. I was going to send him down to AAA just for 10 days, and Reggie wanted to go down too for that 10 days. Commissioner Kuhn gets in touch with me, and he says, hey, you can't send him down. He said he read it in the paper that I was possibly going to send him down. Right. He said, you can't send him down. It won't be in the best interest of baseball. So I told him off, and after telling him off, I got fined $500 for that.
I was just going to make a guess that you were fined for that. I don't know why. Well, how do you answer some of the questions, and then the press brings it up occasionally. They say that only the very rich, in other words, you could buy a pennant. One town could go out, or an owner who's very, very wealthy, and buy all of the best players, and therefore, because of their better financial position, could cripple the other teams. Is there any validity to that at all?
No, John, I don't think so. I think that's all hearsay because Tom Yawkey, who has, I don't know of anyone that's more wealthy in baseball than Tom Yawkey. He's been in there about 40 years, and he's been trying to buy a world championship for all those years, and he's never been successful in doing it. Right. This is a commissioner saying that I was breaking up my team. In reality, all I was doing was making it stronger for the start of 1977. It's awfully hard to go out and buy ball players. The competition is just too tough.
Do you think that the salaries are getting exorbitant or out of line? Because it's really not the players that set the salaries, is it, when you come right down to it? It's the law of supply and demand. I suppose the superstars that can command X number of dollars, and if they bring those people into the ballpark.
Johnny, really, the reason for these, in my opinion, astronomical, unjustified salaries for athletes today. It's not the athletes, believe me. It's these stupid owners that go out and offer that kind of money.
Well, now you're an owner.
Yes, I am, but I don't go out throwing my money down the drain like some of the others do, because in the first place, I can't afford it. In the second place, if I did have the money, I think I'd be much smarter than to pour it down the drain that way.
Yeah. Are the Oakland A's making money?
Well, let me put it this way.
How long have you had the A's now?
This is my 16th year, and I'm happy to tell you that in the 16 years that I've owned the club, we spent a lot of money to produce championship teams. We haven't made any big money, but by spending our money wisely, if I may put it that way, we've been able to stay in the black. Not very much, but we're in the black, and we hope we can stay in the black.
Good. All right, we'll have a couple more questions. I'll do this first, and we'll be right back. Stay with us. I always want to make clear, before I bring George Peppard out, I just want to get one thing clear in my mind. At the end of the year, these ball players could leave your club and be open to open bidding anyway, right? In other words, you could lose them if you did not pay the salary that they requested. In other words, if Raleigh Finger said, I want $1 million, you would say, hey, I can't afford $1 million. And he could go to another club, right?
It's that simple. He can go out and sell his services to another club.
So really what you're doing, in effect, is selling him before not knowing whether you'll have him or not, right?
It's that simple.
Right. So this, you hope this goes to court, I assume, so that there will be a definite decision made on whether the owners have that right, or...
Johnny, we're going to court, and it's scheduled in federal court first week in August.
Well, I hope you come back and report on. We'll probably read it, but I'd like to get your version anyway. Incidentally, can you be fined for being on this show tonight? I'd like you to do something where you wouldn't be fined.
Johnny, I probably will be.
We'll take it to court and I'll fight it. It's fascinating. Stay with us tonight, will you? I'd like you to meet the rest of the people. George Peppard is here tonight. Currently, he's working on a film called Damnation Alley, and I think he just was wound up on the set to be with us tonight. Would you welcome George Peppard? George. Hello, George.
We have our birthday boy with us.
Yeah, Doc's birthday today?
Yes.
You a baseball fan? You followed
yes,
followed this discussion at all?
Yes, well, indeed. I was watching very carefully, and there were temptations when you were getting to the red balls there.
Orange.
But I resisted them because we've used those in show business for years.
What do you mean?
Well, it actually... in the kind of picture I'm working on now, it's a kind of a science fiction thing.
Right.
And
you use orange baseballs in the picture?
Well, no, but orange, different kinds of colors. It's just kind of obvious that your eye shoots right to the different colored object. And yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Thank you. Thank you. Right.
I'm going to get in a lot of trouble here.
You certainly are. You didn't have this little tumbleweed before when you were here, did you?
No, actually.
Is that for the? I assume
Lately,
that's
I've
for the
been waking
picture. I
up
can't
in-
imagine you growing that to look good. Oh, look, I do this to him all the time. He
No,
knows.
I do know, John, and it's nice to be back on a quality show. But sometimes I wake up at night and I think somebody's been growing hair on my upper lip. I grew it for a part in a picture, and personally, it's not something I enjoy, but the
Really?
character enjoys it.
Oh, why don't you just put on the pasties? I think
Well, because every time you smile, it goes pop,
Oh,
you know.
that's-
And it looks
takes
funny.
away from the legitimacy of the picture, doesn't it? When you smile and it curls up.
Well, they can always reshoot it, but you know, if you put on a regular paste-on mustache and you go like this, the whole thing goes.
You know, it's a
You
funny
can't
thing.
do it.
I just was recalling now. I did for a brief time on Broadway Tunnel of Love years ago, replacing Tom Ewell, and he had a mustache in the first scene, and then later on he pretended to shave it off, and as you did it with the electric razor, you peeled it off. And I
Yeah.
remember once during the first half of the thing, it started to the perspiration got under the glue, and it started to curl. And it's the worst feeling in the world, because at least in a movie you can stop and paste it back. But in a
On
live
stage-
show, you feel like an idiot going around. You see this thing, and it's going flick, and you hear the little titters from the audience going,
Yes. Yes.
and there's nothing you can do, and you're going, my dear! So that's
Yes,
why you grow the
you
real
try
one.
to find ways to kind of push it.
What do you play in this picture to have the mustache?
Well,
You almost look like a stormtrooper a little bit.
thanks, John.
No, I mean,
I
that's-
thought I looked more like William Faulkner or something.
Well, that's true, yeah.
Well, the character is a military man, yeah, and he's a major.
On our side?
Yes. Okay. Oh, absolutely. He's as a matter of fact, he's a major in the missile silo when the picture starts. Yeah. From there on, it goes into science fiction. He's a kind of fellow that does everything just straight down the line.
Have you ever been in one of those missile silos, or do you?
No, I saw some film on it.
They're fascinating. I guess they don't.
Have you?
No, I haven't. I guess they don't take civilians through them, but I've seen the pictures of them.
Well, actually, our people did get down to see a lot of it, and it's very interesting because you have to have two people. And
Yeah, they did a
both of which
documentary one night.
Are armed.
And if one goes bananas, they have instructions to shoot the other person, do they not?
They both carry pistols.
That's got to be a wonderful tour of duty, sitting down there looking at each other for 8 hours a day, wondering if the other guy's going to do you in.
Well, what they do is they run through these drills all the time. They run them right down to where they have to. They go up and take the keys out of a box and put them in locks. They both have to turn them at the same time.
Each has a different key, right?
Yes, and they have to double check everything, and that's to see that nobody can go bananas.
What was the movie, though, where something did go bananas? Was that 7 Days? No, that was another one.
Well, as a matter of fact, that's in our picture. It doesn't go bananas.
Dr. Strangelove.
Strange. Well, it's very damn near impossible to do. At any rate, the picture starts there, and from there on, we go across country through this alley from New Mexico to Albany. Did you ever play Albany?
What do you mean, did we ever work there?
Did you ever work in Albany?
No.
No. Well, neither did I. But the whole idea of going to Albany and show
Would I
business...
like Albany? I mean,
I don't know, John, but in our picture, we're starting in New Mexico, and...
did you ever play New Mexico?
Yes, I played in New Mexico. No, not New
I
Mexico.
see.
Anyway, Major Denton, I figured,
Major
had
Denton.
a mustache. That is my character, and I made him a Southern officer.
Do you do the Southern...
Do I do a Southern accent, John? Yes, I do. And Jan Michael Vincent plays the other officer. We
what's
disagreed
the
from beginning.
Southern accent like?
Well, John, I just did the Southern accent. You weren't listening again.
Oh, I didn't hear it.
I
mean,
see. Well, you're not listening again.
If I said Major Denton, are
Yes.
the silos ready? How would
Yes,
you? How would you answer that?
Yes, sir. Well,
4 years in acting class for yes, sir? Oh, yes, sir? I mean,
And another 3 years at Strasbourg.
okay, anyway, you're
Well,
on
let
the
me hear
way.
you do a Southern accent.
Yes, sir.
Well, no, it's a little heavy on the
Welcome
sir.
to our little plantation here.
Yeah?
The magnolias are in bloom.
My God, they are.
Does the name Ruby Begonia mean anything to you? No, it's getting into something else.
No, this is a little more settled than that, John.
All right. Don't tell me how the picture comes out.
I won't. No.
Do I have to sell something? I'm getting a message from Fred there.
That's a victory message.
Yes.
Excuse me.
But first, a message from Johnson's Wax, makers of fine products to help care for your home. You said I didn't mean to hit you on the head with a baseball.
No, that's quite all right, John. I'm much better now. Now, you know, every time I come on your show, when I'm getting ready for the show and I'm in the dressing room and I put on my clothes and I look in the mirror and I think, boy, you look weird. You really look weird. Now, the last time I was on here, I had long hair.
Yeah, but you've dropped some weight
since
the last time you were here.
22 pounds. But that doesn't really matter because, you know, I'm used to going on a stage as somebody else.
Oh, I see what you mean, as a character.
I don't sing or dance or whatever, and about the only time I ever do anything is on your show or somebody else's, and that's not that often.
Aren't you happy when you look in the mirror with what you see?
No, I look at him and I think, oh, he looks weird. Who is that? And I think, well, that's George Peppard. And I think, oh.
May I have your autograph? You say that?
No, but it's different because, you know, I'm looking at a character mustache that I wouldn't wear.
Well,
if I had a mustache, I'd have a little kind of a jab. I mean, I'd spruce it up a little bit.
One of those jobs.
Yeah. Well, not necessarily, but something. And I'm looking at the character, except now that I'm not the character, and there I am just kind of standing there. Yeah. So I always kind of feel a little weird.
Wouldn't he look great in movies?
Yes, I was looking at him, you know. He's
Charles
almost as great as we
looks
are.
like a dress extra. One of those distinguished gentlemen you see at the parties always, right?
Well, I don't know. Listen, do you come from the South?
I was born and raised in the South, George.
Yeah. I caught that when I was listening to you.
That's right.
I don't know anything worse than an Irishman from the South. No wonder he's so famous as a rebel.
Yeah. How'd you drop 22 pounds? Did you want to?
Yes, I wanted to.
Did you want on some diet or?
Well, I did the best I could. 2 steps forward, 1 step back, a lot of jogging. I played a lot of tennis for a while.
Yeah.
I wish I could have caught you then, Carson. Oh, I was
you
a
were
tiger. I haven't played in weeks. Now you'll call me.
Yeah. But did you just cut back on the calories? And...
Yeah, it's vegetables and meat, and then finally I got into a fish diet. I found that fish is really a...
Every day, you mean?
Yeah, every day. And you feel a lot better. I mean, I'm not a food faddist. I mean, the people who say they go vegetarian, I really can't understand it. Without a piece of steak or chicken or something, I'd probably go bananas. But
you can go to extremes.
Yeah, but people say when they go on to a vegetable diet, their whole vibration, their whatever changes. And I found that eating fish, which I like. I mean, shrimp and all kinds of good...
Well, you're looking super. Is the picture soon to be over so you can shave that off?
Well, listen, I would like to say one thing about this picture because it's an unusual occurrence.
Oh,
yeah.
I guess I interrupted. You were on the way through New Mexico, and
No, it's not that. It's not to tell a story of the picture. It's just that most of the time in pictures, you do one of two things.
You gonna do the dishes or what? You're... But maybe you thought maybe you're on your own old show and you're going to operate or something, and you get caught up in the character.
No, but you know, when you're on a picture, normally you either make a good picture or you have a good time. It seems like you get one or the other.
Yeah.
And this is one of those rare occurrences, which I think we're doing both.
You had a good time, and you think you got a good picture?
Yeah, well, it's an entertaining and fun picture, and things are working out right. We've got Jack Smite, who just directed Midway, and Airport 2, and several other. I've known him for a long time. A wonderful man who keeps a happy set.
Yes, happy set is
well,
happy times.
Well, are you still awake, John?
Sure.
That's okay.
When would one, if one wants to see this picture, when would one might see it?
Oh, God knows. I don't know when they're going to put it out. I mean,
well, he gets in for nothing, but how would the rest of it? Whenever it comes out. Okay. Well, you're a cute devil with that mustache, really. Well,
no more baseball.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, for
4
our
years,
next trick.
Lee Strasberg. You juggle?
What? Not really. Do you?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Oh, sure. Did you ever learn to juggle?
There's 2.
Well, 2. Anybody can do it.
Another.
Every
3.
actor should know how to juggle, you see, because it's very... We'll be right back after this. I didn't say you should juggle long, but you should juggle... You were speaking of science fiction, and speaking of science fiction brings to mind Charlie Callis. Charlie definitely comes from some other planet. He's a very funny man. He's in the new Mel Brooks film called Silent Movie. He's a regular on the TV series Switch in August the 17th. He opens at the Hilton Hotel in Las Vegas. Would you welcome Crazy Charles Callis?
Good evening and welcome. I'd like to sing a little song, if I may. Colin. Straighten up and fly right. No, that's not. Good evening. You know, the Olympics are going to be held in Montreal, Canada, this summer. Canada. And I'm going to enter. I am going as a dart. I'm going to enter the decathlon. Decathlon are 10 events. I can only go for 3. The first one is what they call the hammer throw. This, did you ever see a fat greyhound? This, Dankeschön. This is the hammer throw. Athlete comes out with a 17-pound steel ball tied onto a chain. He's got to fling it over his head and throw it for so many hundreds of feet. Sometimes there is disturbance, a heckle or something goes wrong. The hammer throw. 75 meters, huh? The swimmer at the Olympics, the 50-meter dash. A little Claire Delaunay on the piano. "30 meters, 20 meters, 10. I am the winner. Take the picture. Thank you. What? Oi, I got. The archer, the man with the bow and arrow. He's got us all a quiver. Get it? Bow, arrow, quiver. Again, Claire Delaunay, please. Last but not least, the pistol shot. Everybody knows this. Everybody, hum along with me. The pistol shot. I forgot it.
You forgot the end of it.
How does it go? Do it.
You forgot the end of it.
Yeah, go ahead. Do it.
Wheel.
No,
You forget the cock and you come up. That's right. That's right. That's right. Then you... I was waiting for the finish to go.
I couldn't. My mind went blank.
Well, it's...
We were thinking about
So what else is new?
Everything is perfect It's a pleasure to be here. I'm working off my tuchus, doing switch, making movies, and I love it.
You are busy.
I remember you from the Blue Max. Yeah. You were driving that Fokker up in the sky, that German airplane. Yeah, was Usla anderes, huh? Nice, right?
What do you mean?
I gotta tell you. No, wait a minute.
is that?
No, I gotta tell you. I love movies, you know, and I'm in the new Mel Brooks film. Anybody see it, the Mel Brooks movie?
I didn't see that.
I want to see it.
I understand it's
Beautiful
wonderful. Great write-ups.
And it's great to go into movies to hear people laugh. I mean, really laugh from the stomach, not, oh, isn't that clever, Murray, you know. But I saw a film. Oh, that's a phone. Wait a minute. I told you not to call me here.
What is going on here?
This is Charlie Callis. Who is this? It's Paramount? It's Paramount. Wait a minute. Yeah? For shorts? They want me for shorts. I can leave in a half an hour, yeah. What? This is a Paramount Theater. I left my shorts in the Paramount Theater.
Paramount Theater.
But I saw Midway. Midway. Midway, right? I never heard bombs. Now, a lot of Japanese people went to this movie, which they wanted to see their own history. And it's wild to see them when they are attacking our ships, the Hornet, you know, the Yorktown or whatever, and you can see them in the back of the theater. Now, wait a minute. But when the scene changes,
Yes.
we are winning now, right? They came out of a movie like this. I swear, the Japanese people came out of a movie like this.
Like they were going to get a second crack at it in the movie, huh?
Beautiful.
Well, it's good to see you again.
Yeah, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
I see
haven't
you
worked-
occasionally on Switch, and very good.
Yes, we started shooting. We have now one show finished, and we're going to do 23 others.
Yeah, that's super.
And I love it. So it's a lot of work. It's a little different for me. You know?
But everything good is happening for you.
Yeah, well,
everything
thank
good's
heavens.
happening.
Could you lend me a couple of dollars till things pick
We
up?
have. How much, Fred? How much time do we have here? Do we have to do the commercial?
That's it. I'm
and
through.
then
Look at this.
we'll
Shot
bring-
to hell.
No, we'll bring. We have Dr. Jeffrey Bourne is on the show with some fascinating film about gorillas.
I think we should go into a commercial now, Johnny.
We'll be right back with Dr. Jeffrey Bourne right after this. My next guest is the director of the Yerkes Primate Center in Atlanta, Georgia. He's written a most interesting study of and I didn't know the gorilla is our closest relative. Did you know that? Well, it is, and it's called The Gentle Giants. Would you welcome, please, Dr. Jeffrey Bourne. It's nice to have you with us tonight. I thought the chimpanzee was the closest relative, but the gorilla is...
Yes, in many ways, the gorilla is, anatomically, is just a little closer.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I mentioned earlier on the show that gorillas have kind of gotten a bad press from people, or the image of the gorilla is not what the average person thinks it is, right?
That's absolutely right.
What? And there's the second closest ancestor sitting over there. No, but you know what I'm talking about.
Sure.
We make them out as ferocious.
How can a gorilla get a bad press?
Well,
it does.
They get bad. I'll show you why they get bad press. Can I show a couple of these pictures?
That's right.
Now, for example, I don't know what this is from. Is this from the original?
Yeah, it's from the original.
From the original.
Tim
one of the,
Tyler's Luck. That was
Tim
really,
Tyler's Luck. Now, you see, there's a gorilla with a girl.
That's not a gorilla, it's a man in a gorilla.
Well, now, come on. You know what I'm saying. But now, look at this. Look at this picture. This is what the studios, the motion picture, you see?
That's my manager.
And this picture.
Now, this,
Now, we'll show you a real gorilla.
that's what it really ought to look like.
And this is what a real gorilla looks like. And they don't look... You see how sweet they are? Now, that's kind of sweet.
It is. I
Yeah.
quite agree. They're very friendly and nice creatures. When
Well,
it
you
really
discussed
comes
it,
to
the
point.
terrible image that they have. Is that due mainly to the motion pictures and
Well,
stories?
it started off with the early explorers, Paul de Chaillu, who was one of them, and he was, his reports he brought back in 1857 from Africa were just horrific. Some of them he experienced himself, and some of them were stories that the natives told him. I think they thought he was a bit gullible. And also, other explorers that followed him had all kinds of weird stories too. And then the movies picked up this creature as the perfect horror creature.
Yeah.
And then for the next 20 or 30 years, the gorilla was featured as the horrible, beastly creature that he is.
But isn't the gorilla tremendously strong? I mean, what does a full male gorilla weigh? I mean, a male...
600 pounds.
600 pounds. And isn't he tremendously strong?
Well, considering his strength, he's incredibly gentle the way he uses
Well,
it.
we're not, he's a natural for a heavy, isn't he?
Oh, sure.
A 600-pound heavy. I mean,
For
think of
example,
it.
couldn't the most famous gorilla in captivity, I guess, was what, Gargantua?
Gargantua the first.
Which I remember seeing the old Ringling Brothers
That's right.
circus.
Yeah, that's right.
And they used to say, like, with one arm,
One arm, yeah.
he could, what, pull like...
Well, he used to wind a rope round his arm and fling the other end out of his cage, and 5 guys used to get on the other end of it, and he would do that and pull all 5 guys off their feet. So that's pretty strong. That's
So if
stronger
a-
than most football players.
So if a gorilla ever throws you a rope,
Don't pull it.
obviously,
Thanks, John.
you do not grab the other end.
That along with your red baseball.
We'll come back. We have some fascinating film also we'll show you. I've seen several documentaries on gorillas, and they really they don't hang around men much. You don't see them unless
No.
you actually go out into what they call the...
Yes, and even then
The
they'll
jungle.
retreat away from you. It's very rare that they attack, and usually the principal male of the group will attack only if he thinks the group is threatened. And a few people have been charged by the male, and it's a very intimidating business because he shrieks at the top of his voice. If you've got enough strength to stand still, he grinds to a screeching halt about 10 feet away. And I suspect that the way this was found out is that the first guy it happened to was so paralysed with fright he couldn't run.
So, but they normally, if you would stand your ground, they will just
They will grind
show
to a
of
halt.
intimidation and stop.
Mm-hmm.
Is that
What do they eat?
always the case? What?
What do they eat?
Whatever they want.
Whatever.
That's, you know, that's the old joke. That old joke, but we'll switch it around. We'll find out what they eat right after this. We're talking with Dr. Jeffrey Bourne about his book, The Gentle Giants, about gorillas, which is really not an aggressive animal, as you say, and less threatened. You asked what they ate. You mainly, they're vegetarian.
Mostly vegetarian, almost exclusively vegetarian.
Yeah. Now, this film we're about to see, where was this taken?
This was taken in the Nagoya Zoo, and although what it shows may in some respects look rather simple, in actual fact, it took Mr. Azai, who's the Japanese that puts on this act, something like 10 years to develop it.
In other words, he's
And
trying to teach...
He started with these little animals at a year or 2 old,
Right.
and he worked up until they were almost adult, and then he decided he wouldn't press his luck anymore.
Because, I understand...
Nobody's ever worked with a bunch of gorillas before. People have made...
I did once. I played a club in Jersey.
Oh, is that right?
Yes, no, it's not true. You see, it's another bad image they have with the word
That's
gorilla right
yes,
there.
they use the gorilla for hoodlums,
Yes.
which is another bit of bad press.
So in other words, the
agency.
problem with working gorillas as they get older is the gorillas don't know their own strength.
That's right. As they
Yeah,
get
they
stronger
think
and stronger, a backhander like that would knock him through the whole building.
All right, so let's look at the film here, and we'll describe what's going
I won't do
on,
it.
watch the monitors in the studio, and as I say, this is part of an act.
Part of an act,
All
that's
right,
correct.
you can see the monitor over here?
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
There they are, coming in.
Now, those are pretty good-sized gorillas, aren't
Oh,
they?
yeah, these are half-grown gorillas.
About 300 pounds?
Yeah,
Good
two
heavens.
to 300 pounds.
Now, it's not dangerous to be in the... now, look at that. Now,
If you hadn't been with them since you were a youngster, since they were youngsters, rather, it would be dangerous. And nobody's ever done an act with 3 almost full-grown gorillas like that. Yeah, they're getting their food.
like celebrity sweepstakes.
My little thing for this is, will the real gorilla please stand?
Good heavens. Now, is he angry or just...
No, he's being
How do you
admonished.
say no to a gorilla?
Just like that.
Yeah.
Are the gorillas fairly intelligent?
Very, yes. There's one being taught to communicate by
Look at the size of the
signalling.
skull.
Yes, they have a big bony crest on the top of the skull that muscles connect to that give tremendous biting power to the...
The gorilla sees nothing funny about that at all, does he?
They made friends again.
Now, does the gorilla know that's a sign of affection, do you
Oh,
think?
yes,
The
very
touching,
much so. Yes, yes, indeed. I've had that experience myself being in with two half-grown gorillas, and they so enjoyed being petted they wouldn't let me out of the cage afterwards, which was a bit of a problem. Now he's fanning it now, and the gorilla's doing a bit himself. This is the gorilla version of the twist.
Good heavens. I didn't know that you could teach gorillas to do this. Chimpanzees, yes, but...
To me, it looks like a story conference at university.
Now, give you some idea of the weight.
Director now.
Good
That's
heavens.
right.
Look at that. This man does this for a living, does he?
He does that for a living.
Uh-huh.
He did that for a living. He doesn't actually do it now.
Oh, he's not with us anymore, or...
He's with us, but he's not going to press his luck anymore now.
Because the gorillas are becoming too large.
Becoming too big, yeah. He couldn't do that with a full-grown
see.
gorilla.
I don't believe that.
As a matter of fact, those gorillas are a very good band, too. They play the percussion and the harmonica and the trumpet and all kinds of things.
Good charts, do they?
Yeah, they do well in here.
Oh, I never realized that you could actually go in a cage with gorillas that size.
You've got to know your animal very well to
Yes,
be able to do that.
Extremely well, I would think.
That's right. That's a little sumo wrestling.
Does the gorilla know what he's doing? I mean...
What the trainer's doing?
Yeah.
Oh, sure, yeah. They're highly intelligent animals, and they understand an enormous amount of spoken commands. And there's a girl at Stanford University who's teaching one to communicate with signalling.
Really?
You know, sign language for the deaf, and that animal knows 150 words.
That's incredible. I would never have... I've never seen any film like that. I wouldn't believe you could do that with gorillas.
John, I must say this for both our sakes. It's reminiscent of one of my old divorce actions.
Speak for yourself. That could be a lawsuit right there. That is really incredible. The chimpanzees now, they are intelligent also, and they teach them to, with signs and commands.
Dr. Rumbo at our place has a chimpanzee called Lana that he's taught to communicate with us by means of a computer.
I have seen that on
and
television.
she is quite fantastic.
Where they have to punch in a certain pattern.
She asks for the names of words she doesn't, names of objects she doesn't know. The other day, for instance, being shown an orange and not knowing its name, she tapped out on the computer, please give apple, which is coloured orange. She knew an apple, but not orange.
Gorillas do not breed well in captivity, do they?
No, they don't, and their sex life has been kind of maligned in the sense that they're always thought of being highly sexed creatures that want to run off with women, and this is not true at all.
They're not highly sexed.
And in fact, from the anatomical point of view, any woman that was run off with by one would be very disappointed, shall I say.
So they're not constantly engaged in the sex act at all.
No, they're not. As a matter of fact, one investigator who spent about 2 years in the field watching a particular group of gorillas saw a sex act only 2 or 3 times during the whole of that time that he was there. And one of those occasions was with a visiting gorilla, not with the owner of the group at all.
It's a fascinating book called The Gentle Giants. Doctor, I thank you for being with us tonight. That was really
Thank you, John.
intriguing film. Charles, you're off to Las Vegas August the 17th. August, and George working on the picture. And Charles, it was a great pleasure meeting you and having you on the show tonight.
Oh, thank you.
No, I'm talking to Charles Finley. Well, it was a pleasure having you, too.
It's a pleasure.
And I hope you'll come back and let us know how things turn out.
I hope to. Thank you.
I'm humbled by that applause.